is up. Let's pull the audio down a little bit. Alright, welcome to the stream, ladies and gentlemen. Late night with Random Hamilton. It is 11:50, and I was planning on playing some Final Fantasy tonight, but this piece is sticking in my head. So my well-laid plan of working on it just during the day is going right out the door, because that's how inspiration works. And you know what? Fuck it. Let's just draw. Nobody in here, so I'm going to be focusing mostly on the paper. If you pop in the channel, please go ahead and ping the channel. Just type in the text box, and it'll flag me, and I can look over and see you're here. But yeah, welcome to the channel. I'm just gonna draw for a few hours, listen to music, and see what happens with this piece. It's feeling really good, which is nice. It's nice to kind of have a piece that just kind of strikes the right tone and chord when we need it. Yeah, let's jump in. Good evening, hello, welcome to the stream. Late night drawing session. Kind of decided to kind of be productive instead of playing games tonight. I can turn the chat down, or the volume down a little bit, just let me know if it's too loud. So I was talking a little earlier about how I feel like this piece is kind of turned on its own. I didn't intend for this piece to be something I stuck myself into, but then I was sitting there with my wife tonight, and we were hanging out watching a show, and it just, I don't know, man, it's just kind of stuck in my head. So why not? Let's see if we can knock it out tonight, tomorrow. It's kind of giving me some real momentum to jump forward and do a few more pieces this week. I think I might be able to knock out 3 this week, which would be kind of cool. I've not worked at this pace for quite a long time, so it's nice to have a purpose to create for this stream, which is always the goal, right? Let's see, just keep going. Alright, we're going to go ahead and go off pen for a second. We need to figure this shit out. There's a lot to happen here. That's the wrong pencil. Alright. Alright, so the reason we're going in with pencil and kind of laying in the structure is because I've never actually defined how my character's face will respond when it comes to like a big old smile like this. You know, I kind of redraw the character I kind of redraw the character like every single time, and it's me to some degree. But I tend to go ahead and just try and kind of wing it every single time. And so in this case, I'm pulling a lot more. There's like that whole cheek thing going on there. I've not done the cheek thing before, but I was feeling like I needed some kind of more structure. So the cheeks, perfect place for it. And then letting the bottom of the eye have a little more, like breaking that circle silhouette. You'll see in a lot of the characters I do, I kind of keep the full circle, or I'll keep the circle with like a little cut in. Very like 1940s cartoon. But in this case, I'm cutting the bottom of the eye and allowing the bottom of the eye to show expression of an actual eyelid versus the circle. So the circle top keeps the structure, but then the expression comes from that underlid and then from the eyebrow above it. So those are my mechanisms to define the eye shape. And in this case, yeah, I know this is a little hard to see, so I apologize. This part might be a little not as enjoyable because you just can't see all the line work. But let me go ahead and see if I can dim this just a little bit. Let's see, let's pull that down, see if that helps. Oh, that might be a little bit better. Okay, so yeah, so I've gone ahead and I've kind of created this shape here for the eye, and I'm just trying to provide a little bit of structure around the eye because the eye is going to be solid black. That's going to be the darkest point on the piece right there. And I do that because I want your eyes as a viewer to zero in on the eyes themselves. I think that's the most important part, to kind of tell you where to start in the story. Let's just go ahead and put that. There we go. That's it right there. There we go. Okay, and then we'll work the eyebrows in up after that. There we are. Let's see, who is... Alright, so one of the things you're going to notice, especially with the way that I structure my pen drawings and my artwork, is that I really try not to get too stuck in with exactly how something's supposed to be. Like, exactly. You know where your landmarks are. So the idea generally is to go through and just lean into the landmarks without having to put pen down, because pen's permanent. So you want to create the highs, the lows, the rises, and the falls around those key points. So if, let's say, we're talking about like a bump or a lift or a hill, tip of the nose. In this case, let's just do it. Let's do it around the nose. What I'm looking to do is I'm looking to create structure and kind of shading and, like the visual shape you're looking for without actually having to put too many marks down. Because the skin, now I do like my noses to be darker than my faces. It's just kind of a thing I enjoy with my artwork. Darker nose, darker hands. And then I think that generally is it. Yeah, dark nose, dark hands. But anyways, back to what I was saying. Let's go ahead and approach the nose how we would as far as creating that soft depth. This is with a technique I use called pen painting. I use a Bic. Nothing too special. Very standard fare. But because it's a ballpoint, we can put the ink down the paper, and then we can use the ball nib to essentially brush that ink along the top of the paper. And because we're not pushing too hard, we're not embedding the ink is settling on top of the paper. And so you have a little bit of space there to drag it and create a soft transition. And so that's what we'll be doing. We're going to be doing some more soft painting tonight. I think we need to go and crack this face. I think if we can solve the face tonight, we can finish the arms tomorrow and be done with this piece from start to finish in 2 days, which would be awesome. So let's see where we go. Let's see. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Is that any easier for lighting? Let's see here. Okay, that should do. Alright, that's working pretty good. Okay. I can work with that. You know what, let's lock in these teeth. Now these teeth are going to be interesting because I like to draw big teeth. I like to draw kind of janky teeth. I have both big and janky teeth. And I don't worry too much about following, obviously, the rules of teeth, structure, shape. You know, I try to link and keep them all where they are supposed to be. And then I don't really feel the need to carry this around. This is indication, not formation. I'm just going to go ahead and just give the slightest little hint. And then I always like to do just a little bit of a widow's peak right here. Just to kind of indicate that there are some black pops right there. Just to give it a little bit of like structure around that mouth. It's a small thing, but I feel like it's just a little bit of extra care that doesn't hurt to apply. We're going to indicate some teeth down here by just doing a little bit of a shadow drag, just where those, look at where your teeth, like look in the mirror real quick, or hold up your phone, like right here, and look, put your teeth out. Notice the most prominent shape you're going to see are little dark triangles where all your teeth meet. And if you're drawing, especially with pen, one of the cool ways to really get authentic looking teeth, do the triangles. So just make the triangles around the gums, and then once you've made the triangles around the gums, then lift the line from the top of the triangle and let that be the line that creates the contour for your tooth. And what you'll notice is as you do that, you'll feel very comfortable starting to play with where that line goes. And then you can have teeth that are kind of misaligned or, you know, sit kind of in a random direction because people's teeth are fucking weird. So it's a really great way to get a lot of out of that technique. That, which is pretty cool. Alright, so we have got ourselves, let's see, we've got our teeth in. Okay, now I'm going to come in with a micron. Now, you know, the majority of this piece is going to be big. The reason I'm using the micron is because I really want that teeth line to pop. I almost want it to be like cartoony, where the teeth are almost silly cartoony, where then there's all this lush detail around it. I kind of like that contrast. And it's not the same if you just leave it white, like kind of like Art Deco, where you have big spots of like just blank. It's cool sometimes, but for me, I just need that thing to anchor kind of a dark humor. And it's usually, for me, it's like this really cartoony pop art right next to a hyper-realism painted out hair, you know, beard. At least that's my thinking behind it, so, you know, that feels pretty good. Alright, good. Right on to that line we already created. One of the other reasons why I like to use a Bic to pre-line for teeth is because if you push down with your Bic and you create the channel where your ink kind of settles into, you then go with a micron, and the micron naturally follows the path that you lay down with the Bic without having to slip off the sides and out of that rut. So you can do a really quick follow line with the micron that's much stronger. Go with it with the Bic first, and that kind of gives you a little bit of a guide, just like a handle. Oh, this is nice. This is all license free. This is amazing. Great music. Okay, we're just going to do a little bit of light painting on the, ink painting on the back of the teeth, just to give indication. Nothing crazy. I don't want to burn a lot of time here. I don't need to make an accidental dark line. That's not going to be helpful for anybody. But this just gives the indication that we know that we are choosing to break our process a little bit and just do this for indication. You know, most art will forgive liberties taken. That's kind of the beauty of art. Yes, it's subjective, but it's also very open to a different perspective when it comes to something that's kind of tried and true knowledge. But you have to communicate what you're trying to get across there. You can't just do it without any kind of, payoff, so to speak. So, you'll notice that I'm putting these lines down, but I'm really keeping all of this super, super light. And the reason for that is because, I don't want to get caught up in the details of the teeth. It's just a trap. It is always a trap. I don't care how good you are at drawing. If you have to draw teeth, you're going to do something that is going to catch people's eye. And the problem is, if you catch people's eye on something unintentional like the teeth, well, it's a high contrast point, so they're going to be looking right there. So it's just about minimizing the areas where you are going to create holes for where you want people's eye to go. Let's just make sure it's staying on the screen. There we go. I'm going to put some tape down tomorrow, guys. I've got some blue tape. I'm going to lay this like a blue tape square down so that I can make sure that I always keep the art in the right place. Because I'm horrible when looking at my desk and working. I need to keep looking back at the screen. So I definitely need to put some kind of boundaries down. Okay, so now we have just done the teeth. Teeth feel good. I'm fine with that. I'm alright with that. Let's go ahead and kind of lay in this nostril. I like to do my nostrils super black, just like I do the eye sockets. I feel like it's a really, really nice little kind of island on the face, and the reason that's cool is because it allows us to just build structure of a nostril, but because you have the nostril hole there, you kind of are given leeway to then build off the face right here. Now, I don't want to spend too much time on the nose because as far as I'm concerned, this whole section is going to be a bit darker. So everything up here is going to be darker than the rest of the face. Now I'm going to do something that I don't normally do, but I'm going to go ahead and pack in a neutral amount of black, which should take us to a nice gray. And the reason for that is that I want the nose to be a little bit darker than the rest of the face. It's just something I try to do with my hands and with my faces. It's not really any specific thing. I'm not that much of a drinker, although I do drink. In fact, you know what? Fuck it. It's late night random Hamilton. I'm gonna go grab something to drink. Give me 2 minutes. I'll be right back. And we're back. Sorry about that. Thank you very much. And salute. You got something in the house, go grab it. Have a drink with me. Alright. Let's continue. Okay, so we started on the nose. I started darkening and building this darkness up. Now again, you got to be careful. You know, it's so easy to go too dark, and the trick is it's gonna be a darker piece. You can already tell that it's much more reflective of the hands. But what I'm allowing myself to do is I'm allowing myself to leave that real hot highlight, because that hot highlight against the darker parts of the nose is really going to allow this piece to really pop off the page. And that's kind of what we're looking to do, is just get that to pop a little bit. So you'll see how we built that circle? We build the circle by actually laying ink in a circle, right? So I'm not drawing with the pen, but I'm essentially creating a circle by just leaning the shape that direction as I drag the pen around, and that will naturally create its own buildup of ink. And buildups of ink are still material. It's matter. It's all little bits of ink. Well, if you slowly build that up, before you know it, you will have essentially like a ring of ink that you didn't have to actually lay in. It just kind of naturally happens as you drag the pen around, and that's kind of one of the beauties of painting with drawing with, but painting with a Bic. Bic, a lot of people, it's not like what something you talk about, but Bic has been using the same kind of pen material since I was a kid. I'm 40. But I've been painting and drawing with Bics since I was in junior high, and I would bet money that their formula hasn't changed much. It feels the same, it's got the same toothiness, it drags the same. It hits so many of the marks of it that it's medium. It's kind of like Prismacolor pencils. If you ever come across old Prismacolors, hold on to them. And then when you get the new ones, obviously the pencils look different, the quality looks much better, they're much richer visually. But put the lines down, and you'll notice that the way they drag on the paper, the way the tooth interacts with the actual pencil, look at the pattern. It's nearly identical. It's amazing. I've seen old school Prismacolors. Exact same quality as today. It's very impressive, both then and now. The fact that they've maintained that heritage. Alright, let's put this down here. Okay, so I almost feel like we've got the nose darkness proper on the bottom side, and we are now creating a really hot highlight because of that darkness, which is great. Now, here's the trick. If you squint, and you sit back and you look at it from far away and just squint at it, what you'll notice is you now know the nose really comes right off that smile, and the beard almost fades to the background. So it's called a squint test. So you use the squint test if you need to define if your contour line is strong enough. You use the squint test for everything. It's a squint test, but it's helpful to figure out if your border lines, your contour lines, or your important structure lines are strong enough. Squint, sit back about 24 plus inches when you're drawing, and just look for your contour line. And if it's strong enough, you'll be able to see it through the squint. If it's not, it's not. You'll be able to know, and then you do it picking it up. That's about it. Alright, let's see here. some roundness coming off that. There we are. Now, it may look like I'm laying in a few dark lines around the eye, and I totally am, but I'm going to show you a magic trick. Those are going to literally look like they're going to disappear. Like, the moment I lay the black into that center of that eye, these lines I just laid in are going to look like they're pencil that I left behind. It's crazy. Okay, let's go ahead and lay the inside structure in. You guys seeing this okay? Okay, cool. Yeah, there we go. Nice. Yo, again, hey, thanks for joining tonight. This was kind of impromptu. Just wanted to pop in, but I really appreciate you hanging out with me. And, yeah, I hope you're getting something fun from the stream. Because I can't see who you are. I'm dual streaming, so I can't see your name. So I can't really chat to you. But I will say that I would really appreciate the feedback you have. Ideas, suggestions, preferences in art, or just if you want to lurk and just chill, I love that too. So just welcome to the stream, and I'm glad you're here. Hope you're having a good time tonight. Alright, so let's go ahead and close out this top. Now I want to really focus on making sure I don't lose that ring, that arc I just created. I'm just going to pull that right down. You'll notice that a lot of, I'm holding it at an angle and I'm just pulling. And the reason for that is because I'm trying to keep all my pen work really light. I don't need to force it. I don't need to overdo it and add a bunch of ink. Because I already know that where my darkest points are going to be. This is one of my favorite tools to use, by the way. I don't get to use it very often. So, this is the Brush Micron pen. I hated these in college. I used them and they fucked up so many of my pieces of artwork because I was dumb and I was way aggressive and I was using them completely incorrectly. Now, I love using them. And the reason I love using them is it's already a better ink than Sharpie. Like, don't get me wrong, I love me a Sharpie. But a Sharpie is too aggressive, and a Sharpie also, the nibs are not meant to control their outflow. And so what happens is they essentially way oversaturate the area that you've plugged ink into, and then it bleeds. And you don't notice it right away, but Sharpies are notorious for bleeding and then extending the ink line you've created. So, what I like to do is I like to use the Brush Microns because it allows me to be a little more precise and have fun with it. And then once I've laid in my ink with the brush, I'll go in with the regular Micron and just really tighten the edges down. Do whatever you want. But in my experience, with my kind of shaky hand, I guess, I find that trying to use the brush nib in a controlled manner usually leads to an unexpected or unintended mark that I then have to work around. Which isn't always a problem. Sometimes that's cool. But in this case, where I've got a really tight shape around that eye, I want it to be precise. So let's go ahead and just lay that in. We're going to pull this up. There we are. And then pull this up. Awesome. Just like that. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And so now that dark line is that dark shape. We're going to get it right over here. when you have those two kind of larger black holes, it dominates the piece. You're literally, your eye goes, like an arrow, you shoot right to that spot. And that's the goal. We're using a development of texture and a development of detail. Not too much. We don't need to overdo it. I actually find that people really respond better when it comes to your artwork if you insinuate something, whether it's a pattern or a shape or a texture. Once you lay it down, you actually don't have to do it fully everywhere, because in real life, your eye never sees it that way. You know, yeah, you go see a giant tiled pool, right? Old school tiled pool, you see that, and yeah, you know it's fully tiled. You know all the squares are lined up, but you don't see it that way because you're having reflections from the water, you're having light hit it, where all of a sudden light's so hot that you can't see where the pattern continues, or it's so shadowy, you can't see the continuation. So when we're creating art like this, we're catering to reality in so much as that we're referencing things correctly in scale and pattern and placement, but when we're getting our texture and lighting across, we're really trying to actually achieve what the eye sees. And that's one of the things I think is really important to recognize. A lot of artists, they over-attach to how something is supposed to look, not versus how something looks when we see it. And there's a big distinction there, that if you think about it in those terms, you can really start editing what you have to put down, what you have to draw. It becomes a lot less laborious. And then if you want to extend a detail, you have all this extra space to do it. So you're just giving yourself more latitude to have more control with what you're trying to put out there. That's about it. All right. We got the black laid on the eye. Let's go ahead and hit the other side here. You know, I am not mad at this playlist. This isn't my normal style of music, but I'd love to be listening to like Action Bronson or something, but you know how it is. No of that copyrighted music on the stream, right? I respect it. I get it. Okay, let's say like this. Up, and then hook. That's cool. And again, for this side eye, you know, it doesn't have to be as prominent or perfect as the front one. There it is. That'll do. Pull this up. Yeah, that'll do. Yeah, that works. Okay. All right. Nice. Good hustle, team. Bro. I'm not sure if you get told for drinking water. Obviously water. Gotcha. Again, we're an all ages stream. I don't need to clear anybody out. So we all just drink water out of fancy glasses. Easy. Oh, I wonder if this is cheating on my fasting. I've been fasting in the evenings. Well, actually, I've been fasting. So, the way it works, I've always had a challenge with my weight. It used to be a lot bigger. I should say that. But I have found, been doing this lately, where I stop eating at 10 p.m. and I don't eat again the next day till noon. I've been doing it now for about a month and a half. Lost 14 pounds. Didn't really change any other eating patterns. So it's been kind of cool. So just continue on that track. Let's lose about 40 more pounds and we'll be in a good shape. We'll be in good shape. You know, 2 more years of fasting. We'll see. Alright, let's see here. Okay, so how about we start carrying this up? Now, one thing I do want to point out, because we don't need to carry this darkness up the nose, the darkness that we created that was kind of like an artificial kind of heaviness, that is just a preference of my style. It's just something I enjoy. There's no real purpose behind it. It doesn't have a specific story element. It's more to a general, I think that I just like it as a defining feature for whatever reason. Let's go ahead and start building just some extra line work here, something that can bring the eye up, because we want to bring the eye from that nose, because again, you're going right to the eyeballs, right to the eye holes. You're going to see that nose. That nose is going to follow you with a really hot highlight right up the forehead. And then we're just going to lay in enough here that you get that this is not a flat area. We're just trying to make sure that as a viewer you don't get too caught up on the structure here, because this face makes no goddamn sense. I mean, let's be honest here. Positionally, where things are at, you know, I'm laying in the shadows into the places where you expect there to be shadows. That's kind of the trick of getting away with this kind of thing. You can really distort the face. I mean, you can get away with some crazy distortion when it comes to artwork. But there's a rule. You have to at least provide some of the expected, I want to say contours, but I don't even think that's right. You have to put some shadows in the right places, or you have to put some indication that there's depth, because the human face is actually super deep. Like, think about it as like a topographical map, right? Aside from genitals, which obviously that sticks out the farthest, think about the rest of your body. Where else, as one body part, do you have as much depth from front to back? Nowhere. Everything in the rest of your body tends not to be symmetrical, but fairly consistent to each other. I mean, the foot is a great example of not, right? You get past the ankle and it's all bets are off, because the verticality of the foot changes. Structurally, like, yeah, I guess the foot is technically like a square that tapers all the way down. But, you know, the head really is deep out. We have a snout. We don't say that very often, but humans do have a snout. So the trick that I find is it's not about getting everything where it's supposed to be, because that usually means the face comes up very flat. Like, yeah, you've got it all there, but it's kind of too structured. I find that if I can go ahead and lay down those landmarks and get structurally where everything's supposed to be, and then I play shadows in, that usually lets people's eye draw more attention to the face and get more out of the face. Because I'm not just trying to show you that it's a face, I'm trying to show you the emotion to it. This guy does not look bothered at all. But obviously you can tell that he is extremely compromised. He's stuck. He can't go anywhere. He's trapped. His beard's being pulled. He's being drugged down by this stress and weight and everything. And he's still rocking the smile. And so it's important that we reflect a little bit of some emotional kind of something in the face. I'm not going to be able to tell you what that something's going to be. That's okay. We don't need that. We just need to know that that's where we're going, and we'll let it happen. We'll just see what happens. So. Okay, now I'm dragging the pen up because what I want to create is I want to create at least the indication of this is like all these shadows under the eyebrow are going straight up. You'll notice I won't offer any other horizontal lines into here. I really try to keep that, because what I do is right off the top of the eye, just to frame the eye just a little bit more, I'll do a little bit more of a deeper drag right off the top of the eye. This is really, okay, let me correct that. This is not important, but it's kind of important. Does that make sense? Like, if you don't do it, it's not going to harm your work, obviously. Whatever. It's your drawing. But if you do add just a little bit of shadow above the eye, it indicates to us that there's weight up there. Does that make sense? Like, when you don't do any shadow up there, we know what's going on. We don't need to explain why it looks different, but you know it doesn't look right. With a little bit of a shadow there, your brain goes, that eye's perfect, move on. It doesn't even have to look good. It's just, it kind of, it's like it smooths out anywhere that your eye's going to catch and get stuck. Alright, there we go. That's working for me. Alright, so we need to go ahead and figure this ear out, because this is not, structurally there's some problems here. So let's do that. Let's fix it. I love what we've done here, by the way. I'm so happy with how this piece is coming together. Actually, that's something I want to talk about. I gave up artwork for like the last year and a half. I only started drawing again like 3 weeks ago. My wife had said something to me and was talking to me about picking the pen back up and getting back into it. And she just hadn't seen me drawing, and I was really frustrated. And I just, separated from my previous studio. And I just started drawing again, and it all just started falling back into place. Kind of the beauty of a technique that you've developed and built over time kind of sticks with you. So, thank you, because I feel like this stream is providing me the right amount of inspiration to just push and have something to push for, and I really appreciate that. It's an unexpected and very pleasant surprise about this whole experience, which I'm very excited about. Feeling this guy right here. Okay. Alright, I'm done fucking with the eyes. Let's lay in this ear. Well, let's lay in the rest of this beard. So this comes up right here. Yeah. And then I have this guy come up right here, which is very true. Okay, so the beard can continue here, the beard can be here. Here's a hand right here. Let's put that thumb. And there, that hand is grabbing a handful of hair as well. And we'll do like this. Yeah, that'll work. That'll be badass. Okay, thumb. Bring that like that. Okay, we're just going to go ahead and build the structure real quick. Back of the hand, which means okay, so here's a cool thing. Look at your hand. Here, I'm on camera. Okay, look at your hand. We are going to be building this thumb like this, right? Okay, so what do you see here? Well, we see our thumb. Whoop. I tend to turn my thumbs on my artwork, so I can just give them a slight rotation. Yeah, it's a little improper, but whatever. But what I like is that if you look at this knuckle, I also extend the front of the fingers out pretty far. It's just a style preference. So you'll notice this big knuckle right here. You'll notice this knuckle right here. You'll notice the meat of the hand go underneath like this. That's where you kind of get that cool little dip. But what my favorite thing about this is look at this shape back here. Now, if you take the shape off the back of the thumb and you take it and just follow that contour all the way around your hand, that's what you got right here. And the reason I like to use that is because I think that it creates this really fantastic just structure, that meat, to kind of create a cool rise in the wrist. And if you have the rise on the underside of the wrist is essentially a key, like a elongated, it's like a rectangle. So think of this guy as a rectangle. Equidistant, not too far from shape, they follow the same contours. It's pretty straightforward. I'll pull this guy down. And then we're going to go and pull this guy out. And that is how we get our hand structure. It's kind of a thinner hand. I think it's kind of cool. And then we'll have the hand pump out there. Cool. Oh, I wonder if there's like an anime OST music station. That'd be badass. I mean, okay, maybe I'm just old and saying shit like that. So God, I hope not. I hope that I'm not turning into that guy where I'm ironically like super like out of touch. You ever worry about that? EDM, I don't want EDM. Ugh. Can I search for OST? Let's try this. We might have something here. Let's see how that works for us. Okay. Okay. So now we know we have the hair coming up here. Oh wait, my hair has this little bit of a thing. Yeah, it'll come out, and then I'll pull it back, and then it'll come out like that. Yeah, not quite widow's peak. I am one of those very, very lucky few men that is probably not going to have too much trouble with the whole hair loss thing. Monkey men in our family. Let's see. That. Do I want the ear to pop out? Oh, that's a tough one. Okay, here's the conundrum. What do I do with that ear? Right? Does the ear come up on the arm? Is it like this? So it'd be like folding? I don't think it'll read very well. So I wonder if maybe my glasses back on. I'm blind for a bitch. I guess we do something like that with like the plug. Like have the plug lifting off the ear so you see the ear, and then let's try that. So we have the ear. The ear goes behind the arm, whatever. Cool. Can deal with that. Got that. But then the plug, maybe it's literally like resting on. Oh, that's weird, but I kind of dig it. Maybe it's resting on the hand. Oh yeah, that'll do. Alright. It's strange. I agree. I'll admit it's super strange, but it's kind of cool, right? It's interesting, right? Plugs lifting up. Tells the story. interaction. Why? Why the earlobe? Why is the plug? Why is it important? Why lift it up? Why even focus on it? Why not? Why draw it at all? Layering. This goes back to what I was talking about earlier. It doesn't seem like a lot, but the detail like that, just that, with the lobe sitting on top, just the fact that I turned this non-important actor into a thing, that's the stuff that people attach to. It's strange, but you got to think about when people view art, when people view a drawing, when people view an illustration, they're consuming it roughly in the same way, to different degrees, right? Somebody who's really into art, when they consume a piece of artwork, they're consuming a lot. They're taking in scale, shape, color, technique, lighting, the painter, the time period, the movement. When the average person sees it, they see a nice painting. They don't really have a lot of context. They don't really know much about where it came from. Usually, you'll not find somebody who can even tell you one of the major art movements, and it's not a dig. They're just never taught. They don't encounter it in their life. It's just as silly as saying, well, why don't you know anything about biochemistry? Obviously. Well, if you don't know anybody who's a biochemist or have no interest in it, then of course you don't know about it. It's just, you're never confronted with it, so why would you learn it, It's a thing you recognize in the world a lot. It makes up for a lot of people's misconceptions of things, because their first interaction with something is through the moment of usually something going wrong. So they see it and they're like, well, shit, this is horrible. Why would you do this in the first place? Misconception, understanding of like the broader context and the knowledge behind it, things like that. So, anyways, earlobe. Okay, the reason this is important is we have, again, created a story element right around where we want the focus to occur in the picture, which is right here. Focus is around the eyes. Anything that I can do that adds to the story in that vicinity becomes a hallmark of the piece. It's a lot of jargon, but nonetheless, it has an effect on the viewer. Just kind of the way it works. So let's just go ahead and be silly and just pop in right in the ink. Fuck it. What are we going to lose? I will, of course, make it to where it looks like the ear is being compressed against the side of the head. Let that arm be a little bit of a bully. There is our line. There's an internal line. Now again, we're going to have a lot of deep shadow in there, so don't worry too much about that. Alright. And there is our earlobe, resting so low, so wonderfully on the wrist. Alright, so this was not part of the plan. As you can see, I hadn't sketched this in, but this is just kind of how it goes sometimes. It be like that sometime, you know? Sometimes you just gotta roll with it. Roll the dice. So, that's what we're gonna do. I'm just gonna embrace that I have now got a second tugger over here. Let's pull the hand fat, that lump that we were talking about that I was oh so excited to show you. Let's get that guy. We got our little knuck there. Let's get our thummy thumb in there. Hey, Mr. Thummy Thumb. Mr. Thummy Thumb. We got that. Alright. And then, just... There we go. Alright, so, structure's in, thumb's in. We're good. Earlobe, resting on the thumb, also good. Not a lot of detail, right? I put some structure in, I put some shape in, I still gotta add all the hair. So let's add the hair, then we'll worry about the other details. So I don't want to overdo it here. The only reason I added the thumb in because I know the hair's all going to be behind it. So let's think about this hair. Let's go a little wild. I think I could do something like that. Almost make it like it's like being grabbed. And then let's see. That'll work. Oh, that's good. Okay, so we'll do something like this. Yeah, that feels right. I'm okay with that. Okay, so now we've got to respond on the other side, because if this hair is being pulled like this, then the hair is definitely being pulled like this. So I need to give reason and show why all of a sudden there's some tension over here that there wasn't before. Let's create that tension. Let's create the way those connect through. This is not going to be necessarily one chunk of hair. It's going to be a bunch of little hairs, but the flow will be all over the place, which is cool. Kind of dig that. Got that. Got that. Got that. Yeah, that works. That works. I'm okay with that. Alright. So. God, that's a lot of hair. I guess I can cut that out like that. I have that shape right there. Okay, yeah, that's where the sideburn would be. So I just need to soften that guy. That's too hard. So go beard like that. Let's go. Okay, there we go. There we go. There we go. Okay, so that's like that. That's like that. That's like that. That's like that. Alright. I can work with that. Yeah. I can work with that just fine. Thanks again for hanging out with me tonight. I can't see your name, but I can see that I'm a viewer. I'm glad you're here with me. Thanks for joining this evening. Why is this? Let's not do that. I just messed that up. 1 second here. Apologies. That was me fucking with Discord and not realizing they would do such things. How do I connect this guy back in? Oh man. Oh man. Okay, 1 second, y'all. I'll get this fixed. I'll figure out exactly what in the hell I was thinking. Let's see, how about we do our game capture, which is that, and let's go ahead and, that's not right, cancel that, so this, my game capture, there we go. Hey, I apologize. I put something in Discord and it popped the window out. And now I'm trying to figure out how in the hell to put it back. Because this guy is looking for Discord. Huh. Oh, there we go. Well, that was stupid of me. I apologize about that. Thank you for being patient. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I know I shouldn't touch buttons like that. Also, it was requested by my wife that I remove this hand and do something different. She thinks it looks like a penis. I'm not going to say I disagree with her, but I'm not going to say I agree with her. But let's go ahead and change it to a fist coming over the top of the head. And that way it's got more of a pullback action. Because I could see getting a bit of like a drag so that the head feels like it's dragging backwards, like this way. Because the hair is already going to be doing this wacky ass shit, right? The hair's all over the place. It's getting pulled and tugged and all that other great stuff. So right now, how about we do a fist like this? Yeah, that'll do. And that'll just be crusting over the back of the head. I guess I could have it kind of come down. But it's really, I mean, it's got to be, we're talking some digits here. So that scale-wise, it feels intimidating because it's the top of the head. You want it to feel a little daunting, dangerous. There we go. That's proper. That's proper scale. So let's go ahead and just do like, yeah, like that. Cool. Oh yeah, that's nice. That'll actually frame that in really well. That. Yeah, that'll work. Yeah. Oh, God damn it. Sorry, guys. Apologies. I gotta get used to where this is at with the camera. Let me put that blue tape down. Actually, you know what? Let me grab blue tape right now. I've got it right here. I was messing with it earlier. Alright. Let's correct this error right now so we don't have to deal with this anymore. So it looks to me like this is kind of almost the best spot. Alright, so I should not go past this line. Yeah, that'll do. Don't go past that line. Easy. And in this case, I should not go past this line. Perfect. Okay. Now we know. I got some boundaries here. Sweet. Okay. So we know that we're getting tugs from here because they're pulling. This is going to all start going right into this. And that's going to be like that. I'll have this come down. Right about there is where we'll start seeing the tug. That's going to start doing that. That's going to all whip that way. All we're looking for right now is to make sure we can justify the hair flow. You can't have a hand grabbing a bunch of hair without having the hair react. Hair just, that's not how it do. So you really have to make sure to bake in where it's all going. Otherwise the eye will just immediately call bullshit. You'd be amazed how good your eyes are at telling you something's wrong. You don't have to know what's wrong with it, but your eyes will shout at you pretty quickly if something is off. It's kind of the beauty of what nature hooked us up with. It's one of the interesting things about the way our eyes work versus an animal's eye. You know, yeah, we all have instinct. Animals live and die off their instinct, so that's kind of important. But humans, that instinct is actually kind of baked into the way that we perceive things when we're looking at them. And you don't need to know that something's wrong, but you can know that something's wrong. It's the reason why when we see somebody who has, let's say Down syndrome or something like that, in general, children, people of every age group have a response that it is visually unexpected what you're seeing, and that is I don't know if there's some terminology for that, the way that we react to that, but it is certainly a shared phenomenon around the world that goes beyond every culture, every religion, every country has to have programs to take care of individuals such as Down syndrome, because in general they have not always been cherished, welcomed, and taken care of. So we had to essentially create the boundaries and rules to make sure that we could create safety nets for individuals who had those challenges. It's just one of those fascinating human stories. Alright, that looks like it's going to do pretty darn good there. Pretty good. Doing that again this time. Because I'm supposed to be showing this guy. Full screen. There we go. Okay, that's working. Alright, let's go ahead and get that other hand in, the one we kind of sketched up here. Go ahead and allow that finger to really look like it's pressing down. I really want it to seem like this guy is grasping that head really just aggressively. This, however, this big ass knuckle is going to be twirling right underneath it, grabbing that hair. Often think about when you grab something and look at where your index finger and your middle finger and your ring finger go, and you'll notice that your ring finger and your middle finger tend to try to work together. Your ring finger tends to go off on its own, just kind of the way structurally our hands work. That's not always the case if you're trying to not do that, but that is a commonality you will find in a lot of people. I don't think there's any real scientific basis for it. I just think it's just kind of the way we work. But who knows? Let's see. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Just trying to look on the stream to kind of make sure that you guys can see what's going on. I don't think it's too far off. Alright, let's continue going on these big ass knuckles. This is the middle finger after all, so it's definitely the thick boy. Alright, let's go ahead and get this guy. With these fingers, I'm going to go ahead and keep them together. Although that pinky, I think I'm going to let that fall down like this. Okay. And ring finger. Let that be down here. Like that. Like that guy. Okay. Yeah, that works. That middle finger might be a little bit large compared to the other two, and I can fix that when I get to the pen. So don't worry too much about that right now. We're going to accept our big ass finger for who it is. Especially because it'll be super interesting looking when we get it all done. Now again, I'm just laying in structurally kind of my landmarks. Where's the primary underside of the knuckle supposed to sit? Where are we going to see the other knuckles show up? You don't want to just not make a knuckle. That doesn't fly. So you've got to think about where all this stuff's going. Also, ring finger knuckle is not going to be nearly as high as your middle knuckle. The hand is a series of downward slopes. That's kind of how it works. Okay, we're going to go ahead and bring this guy down here. That's good. Bring that guy here. That's good. You know, we don't need to define all of that. That's just not important. The most important part, really, is just getting the structure in. Sorry, I have an itchy eye. So, there we go. We got that. Going to go ahead and put our little wrist bone right there. Let's go ahead, and now we can just go ahead and sweep this entire arm down. There's that muscle, and that's the forearm. Here's where the other portion of the arm would go, so it would probably come like that. So let's go ahead and just bring this guy down. Let's make sure that bone is really prominent. And that is also where that tendon connects. Elbow, a little bit of fat there. There's always a little bit of like a chunk there. And that guy in. Okay, we're just remembering. We're just laying in structure. We're not worrying about if this is exactly how the muscle looks. We know this is how the muscle looks generally. But you have to think about the angle, you got to think about the position. Sometimes that just gets away from you. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to commit a fun little trick that I prefer. We're going to close the piece right there. All of this back here is going to become like the gray that you're seeing on the fingers. And we're just going to allow Mr. Muscleman here to provide a bit of a background. It's a subtle thing, it's easy, you know, we're just cheating. But I don't need to draw all this. I don't need to I don't need to be exact. I just need to get you to understand exactly how this hand and this arm exists in a realistic way. And if we can do that just by following the natural contours and the shapes in the body, all is the better. It's a lot less we have to justify. It's a lot less we have to work out. Alright, that's not bad. Now again, think about the scale, right? Think about the scale of this hand to the scale of this arm to the scale of the body. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. That's okay. It doesn't have to. It's an abstract piece of art. but I'm trying to use foreshortening to justify the lack of distance on the arm. Tricks. Let me bring up some reference. There we go. Well, yeah, that is the eyebrow that she drew. My wife drew my eyebrows for me because I was having a hard time nailing my own eyebrows. Go figure. And she had some very good insight. My wife's an exceptional artist. She won't ever consider herself that, but she really is. Her name's Kelly, and she's quite skilled. Alright, that'll work. That'll mean this guy. Yeah, that'll do. Which will mean that if I have the eyebrow right there, let's see if I can pop the eyebrow out a little bit more. I can create this nice... Yes! Okay, you'll notice what I did there. Anywhere where you can create... Okay. We have the hand coming down. Grabbing, whatever. Grabbing. Look at the way the knuckle structure and my forehead structure, how they come together. You'll see there's actually a shelf between the two. There's just that little bit of an indent. That's a really great thing if you can kind of nail that. In this case, I'm nailing it between the bottom of the finger, so the pad of the index finger, which justifies it coming out, and that decline of the head from that ridge. And that's where that shadow will come in. That creates the forehead structure. Play with dropping some structure around those eyebrows. And then I'm going to go ahead and add just a little bit of confusing wrinkling right at the brow, because I need people to sit there and say, what the hell is he trying to, what emotion is he trying to get across? And the trick is I'm trying to get no emotion across. Okay, that's not true. The emotion I'm trying to get across is the emotion of the viewer, but let's do there. Let's say the hairline goes there. It starts coming down here, which means his fingers are in the hairline, which is totally fine. Okay. Yeah, that works. It's a little, it's a little low. Maybe this, you know what? Maybe I'll just have the fingers in front of the hairline. The hair's coming out from between the fingers. That's not bad. That's not bad. So then maybe here we would see like the put the green in for this. Let's not get too adventurous. How would we say we do a tuft there, and that like that. Alright. I think we've actually cracked it. Somehow. We did it. Good job. Go team. Okay. So structurally it makes sense. Still not loving where the hair is coming in on the top, but I don't think I can do much about that. I guess I could have like hair being like forced down, and so then it's just like this mass of just like tufty twirly shit. That would work. I think this is maybe just a little too intense is what's also going on there. It's not that pronounced on me, it's there, but it's not like you can see it. It's not too intense, but there's definitely structure on my here. Okay. Fuck it. Let's jump in. See what happens. What's the worst that can happen? You destroy the picture, but still. Okay. Let's see. Now with the eyebrows, you'll notice that I'm doing a little bit of a broken line. Now the eyebrows will be nearly black. That's just kind of how I generally create them. But it doesn't really behoove you to make a strong, solid line because at the end of the day it's hair. You know, it's hair that's cropped closely to the body so that it fulfills the task of keeping our brows warm, I guess. I don't fucking know. Who knows why you have eyebrows? I'm sure there's some reason behind it, and I'm sure I'm just not educated quite enough to understand that, but there we are. There we are. Alright. And let's go ahead and put some contouring here. We got one there. 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 So it's not so bad, right, guys? Right? No? That works. It's a little interesting. It's a little, mischievous, confused. Put a little bit of a let's take this guy like this, and then let's do this. There we go. We'll take this guy. That line we were creating before. Let's go ahead and give this a strong pop out here. Pop this guy up. Up this goes. Yeah, there we are. Nice. Nice. There we go. So, I mean, I think I've said it a million times. Well, probably not a million times, but I've said it enough. It's about the slow development. There's no need to rush it, especially when we're talking about working with pen. It behooves us to give ourselves the room to want to change our mind. One of the greatest things about making mistakes is that you can also choose not to make mistakes. Mistakes are opportunities to do something unintended, unexpected, exciting. But mistakes will happen on their own. You don't need to force that. There's just no reason to create opportunities where mistakes are in a rich environment to succeed, thus creating problems for you. If you know where you can avoid things that might be dicey, that could be challenges, you can't really try to avoid those. It's usually pretty good. That's pretty good for you. It's pretty good for the success of your project, so on and so forth. Well, let's go ahead and just swoop this guy in there. Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good. Okay, there's that knuckle. What an intense soundtrack this is. I would look, but I'm kind of in a nice mode right now, and I don't want to fuck that up. Again, sorry about the F-bombs. I hope that you, whoever's watching me, is not too old to be hearing some F-bombs. I try to usually avoid cussing in my streams, but in the late night stream, I'm just going to go ahead and just be my natural self. Until somebody says, hey, that sucks, you shouldn't do it, and then we'll go ahead and reassess. But until that time, let's enjoy. Alright, so we've got our knuckles in, we've got our other fingers in and present. They're pulling and futzing with this gentleman's hair. And his hair is just doing what hair do. It is reacting. Yeah, that'll do. Alright, so I've got the texture of my hair all the way across. I've been able to create this new hand that's creeping up from above and grabbing on and pulling. So there'll be, that tension is already kind of built, and the bulk of it is being hidden by the hand, which is totally fine. Got that hand there. That hand is affecting the hair back there. That's much better. Oh, sorry for being quiet right now. I'm kind of getting into the rhythm and focusing, and being that it's 1:22 in the morning, I'm just going to kind of just work. So, apologies if I'm quiet. I'm just kind of enjoying the music and kind of in the flow of it. Now again, I have to remember that the hair is being tugged by this hand. It's so important, right? We can't go and draw just interaction from the hair from one side of the face. That doesn't make sense. It breaks the illusion, and it doesn't make this hand feel very important. And I want this hand to feel extremely important because this hand is the only hand that's pulling from the side of the face. It's a much more personal and aggressive grab. You gotta think about the hands here, right? Yeah, they're all grasping, but they're not all grasping in such a, what we know would be probably a painful manner. And this hand does not give a fuck. It is pulling hard. It is pulling and twisting from the side of the face, especially because the beard's already being pulled from below. And so what we're doing is we're creating this kind of counter tension where these hands are almost fighting over the face, and yet he's still rocking a smile. How does he do it? I mean, who knows, but still. Yeah, there we go. That's kind of nice. Because again, think about what hair does. Hair folds in on itself. The reason your hair looks like it does is because it's layered. Hair is not one single flat layer. Hair is also not like Lincoln Logs where they just stack up evenly. Hair is a bunch of tubes made out of vitamins and, I don't know what the hell else goes into the hair itself. But let's just say, structurally, it's a bunch of tubes that have a little bit of give and a little bit of flex, and it just kind of exists on your head, and it moves with you, and it responds to your movements, and responds really drastically when it's touched. And so what we need to do is we need to show, oh, that might be too dark a spot. Okay, so I didn't need to make the spot so dark. It's not the end of the world. What I have to do is I have to carry that darkness now all the way over here to anchor it. Give this guy a little bit more darkness in it. There we go. There we go. Now it's not so egregious. There we go. We got our hair here. There's our mustache. It's sitting over the top. That's why that's lighter right there. I almost darkened that. I need to not do that shit. Let's give that a nice little pop. There we go. So now it's being pulled over here, it's being pulled over here. Plenty of handfuls of this gentleman. And we are just going to go ahead and take that right up there. There we are. And what you see me doing here is just creating a bit, especially where my sideburns and my beard meet. It goes from round and buoyancy almost to straight up flat, because it's now the fade that my wife has put up my hair. My wife, again, works in the salon, so get my shit clipped for free. And so this is where it gets flat. It's not because it's any darker, but because you have essentially no rises, no falls. So the eye doesn't catch on any shine. We're just going to kind of build this up. And kind of give a little bit of shadow to that ear. Anchor that ear a little bit. Some context. Let's get some context there. Let's pull that up. There we go. There we go. And then we have the twist of the ear. So again, we have the earlobe coming up. Yeah, there we go. There we go. We got a plug in there now, and it's floating on the wrist. Perfect. Now don't worry too much about the line work here. Don't worry too much about if it looks chunky or choppy. We're gonna come in here, we're gonna continue to blend. There's just no reason to just stress yourself out. This is all gonna blend together. It's kind of how this whole thing works. It's a system. And if you trust the system, I think what Embiid said that, right? I was talking about that with, I'm sorry. For those who don't know, we are talking about the Sixers and Joel Embiid. He was having a rough couple of years, and he reflected to the public what he was hearing in practice, and he simply said, trust the system. And now, the system is clearly working for him. At least last season, same thing to go by. It's kind of a badass. Alright, there we go. Cool. Okay. Alright, we got that guy in. Yeah. There we go. Got the... At least we have an answer for what we didn't know. I'm not loving this arm. I'm not loving that solution. It's not long enough. It looks like a pygmy's muscly arm. A muscly pygmy. Do we want muscly pygmies? I don't know. Maybe we do. Maybe it's me just being silly, but I just feel like maybe that arm was incorrect based off the scale. I think it maybe needs to just kind of come like this. And I can just accept the fact that, yeah, that may be more in line. I think it looks better too. With this contour, it kind of creates a curve that goes all the way down. Okay. There we go, we settled it. Look at that. And that way, I don't have to worry about any of the other structure there, so I can just go ahead and shave that all in. Alright, that looks much better. Oh yeah, there we go. Sorry, just thinking through what I want to go with next. Got a couple options. So I placed this structure here for the tentacle, kind of an little extra lump there to kind of anchor this space in. But I'm almost wondering if it's better without it. Okay, I'm going to do something out of the norm here. I'm going to go ahead and hardline all the hair in the hand. Now, I haven't done the shading yet. I know this is kind of adverse to my normal process that I explained. But my thinking is, if I can structurally hardline that whole section, maybe we can get a good look on if the silhouette's working. Because I'm always trying to find ways to break the silhouette. I'll talk about another content video I'm planning on making is breaking the silhouette through, interesting shapes. It's pretty important stuff. Okay. I'm okay with this outline out here being a lot thicker. It's intended to essentially be the capstone for the piece. So, thick line is never a bad thing because I'm going to shade right up against it and go pretty intense. So you'll see a nice graduation of shading into a dark line. You won't really pick up on the thickness of that outside line as a consequence of that, which is intended. What's also nice is that this kind of solves any of the excess drawing that we left, and I personally like to leave the pencil work showing past the ink. It's one of the few ways that I can kind of show my process without having to show my process, especially when you're talking about doing things for like gallery or doing things for just where you want to show the personality of the work. I think that's really a space where this is ideal. Okay, let's go ahead and pop out these couple fingers because they are very important to breaking up the top area, which is going to be a lot of hair and a lot of detail and brushing. There we go. You don't need to do the entire thing to that finger or that finger. We're just doing indication. Indication. There we go. Alright, y'all. Well, I have to wake up at 8:15 because I have to be up to get my son out of bed and fed and put on my daddy hat. But I really appreciate you joining me tonight. I hope you have an amazing evening. Thank you for hanging with me. And, yeah, look forward to hanging out next time. Have a good night, y'all.